Seth Rollins said one sentence backstage and it was enough to expose the single most uncomfortable truth in the entire Bloodline saga. He looked at the assembled family and said, simply, that they are only bad guys for Roman. 6 words. No threat attached. No physical confrontation. Just an observation, delivered with the kind of casual precision that only Seth Rollins seems capable of. And in the silence that followed, Jey Uso made a decision that would expose exactly how right Rollins was. He turned to Jacob Fatu and ordered him to attack, a direct command issued with the full confidence of a man who believes his position within this family carries genuine authority. And Jacob Fatu looked Jey dead in the eyes, and walked away. No words, no explanation, just the silent, devastating confirmation that Rollins' 6 words had identified something true. Jey Uso's authority inside this family is hollow. It does not extend beyond the protection Roman Reigns chooses to lend it. And the reason that matters so much right now, the reason this single backstage moment deserves an entire breakdown of its own, is because the silence in that hollowness is not an accident. It is something Roman Reigns has allowed to happen, possibly something he is allowing to happen on purpose. Wrestling Stands is digging into exactly why Jey Uso snapped and what Roman's silence in that moment might actually mean. Quick favor before we get into every layer of this: if you're enjoying the content here at Wrestling Stands, please smash that like button and hit subscribe. Over 98% of viewers watch without subscribing. It's completely free for you, but it means the absolute world to us and genuinely helps the channel grow. Already subscribed? You absolute legend, thank you so much. Right, let's get properly into this. Let's reconstruct the moment carefully, because every detail of how this unfolded matters for understanding the genuine depth of what was exposed. Seth Rollins, never one to waste an opportunity for precision cruelty, confronted the Bloodline and delivered his observation that the entire family operates as bad guys exclusively in service of Roman. Not as a unit bound by genuine shared purpose, not as individuals with their own authority and standing, as extensions of one man's will, valuable only insofar as they serve his interests. It is the kind of statement that should be easy to dismiss. Bravado, provocation, the standard rhetorical weaponry that rivals deploy against each other constantly in professional wrestling. Except Jey Uso's response to it proved Rollins correct in real time, in the worst possible way. Because instead of ignoring the provocation, instead of responding with words of his own, Jey turned to Jacob Fatu and gave him a direct order to attack Rollins. An instinctive, reflexive assertion of authority, proving, he must have believed, that his position within this family carried genuine command, that he could direct the most physically devastating weapon in the entire Bloodline and watch that weapon execute his will. Jacob Fatu's silent refusal did not just deny Jey a moment of satisfaction against Rollins, it validated, publicly, in front of the very man who had just questioned the Bloodline's internal legitimacy, that Jey's authority does not actually exist beyond what Roman explicitly grants him. Now let's talk about why Fatu's loyalty operates this way, because understanding the mechanics of his acknowledgement is essential for understanding why Jey's order was always going to fail. Fatu's acknowledgement, delivered on the 1st of June, was directed exclusively at Roman Reigns, not at the Bloodline as an institution, not at the family as a collective authority structure, at one specific man. That acknowledgement is, by its own internal logic, non-transferable. Jey Uso cannot borrow it. Jimmy Uso cannot invoke it on Jey's behalf. The loyalty Fatu offered exists in a direct, exclusive line to Roman and nobody else, regardless of how close that other person might be to Roman by blood or by history within the faction. This is the structural reality that Jey's order collided with. He was attempting to weaponize a loyalty that was never extended to him in the first place. And the painful, public nature of that miscalculation is exactly what makes this moment land as hard as it does. Jey did not just fail to get Fatu to attack. He demonstrated, in the most visible way possible, the precise limits of his own standing within a family he has sacrificed enormously to remain part of. Here is where we need to ask the harder question, the one that gives this entire moment its title. Why does this gap in authority exist? Why has Roman Reigns allowed a situation to develop where his own brother, a man who held the family together during Roman's absence, who returned at considerable personal cost, who has navigated reconciliation with Fatu through genuine tears and genuine gratitude, cannot command the loyalty of the family's newest, most unpredictable member? The simplest explanation is structural neglect. Roman has been managing an enormous number of simultaneous threads: Solo's Rebel Lion, the Rollins collision course, the King of the Ring tournament implications, the Wiseman question, and simply has not gotten around to formally establishing Fatu's obligations toward the Usos in explicit terms. Under this reading, the hollowness of Jey's authority is an oversight, an unaddressed loose end in an otherwise carefully constructed strategy. But there is a considerably darker reading available, and it is the reading this video wants you to genuinely sit with. What if Roman has not addressed this gap because the gap serves him? Think about what a Jey Uso with genuine, independent command over Thatcher would actually represent. A brother with that kind of standing would possess real, structural power within the bloodline, the ability to direct violence, to enforce his own will, to operate with an authority that exists separately from Roman's direct, constant oversight. Roman Reigns has spent this entire saga demonstrating one consistent pattern: he does not share genuine power. He extracts acknowledgement, he demands loyalty, he elevates people strategically and specifically when it serves his interests, but he has never shown any inclination to dilute his own singular authority by genuinely empowering anyone beneath him. Keeping Jey's authority hollow, even unintentionally, even as a byproduct of simply never formally addressing it, keeps every member of the bloodline dependent on Roman specifically. Nobody else in that family can command Thatcher. Nobody else can weaponize the most dangerous asset in the group. Which means every single member, including Jey, including Jimmy, remains permanently reliant on Roman's direct involvement to access the family's full destructive capability. That is not a structural oversight. That is, whether deliberate or simply convenient, the precise condition that maximizes Roman's control over everyone around him. And this is where Seth Rollins' instincts deserve genuine credit, because identifying this dynamic and exploiting it in real time is exactly the kind of psychological warfare that has defined his entire approach to this feud. Rollins did not need to provoke a physical confrontation to win that backstage exchange. He simply needed to say something true and watch the bloodline's internal architecture expose itself. He twisted the knife precisely because he understood, perhaps better than anyone outside Roman's immediate circle, exactly where the wound already existed. Jey Uso's authority has always been conditional, always been borrowed, always been entirely dependent on Roman's continued, direct backing. Rollins simply made everyone watch it confirmed in real time. Let's think about what this does to Jey Uso psychologically, because the genuine human cost of this exposure is significant. This is a man who returned to the bloodline after immense personal turmoil, who reconciled with Roman at real emotional expense, who has spent recent months navigating his complicated relationship with Jacob Thatcher through genuine tears, genuine gratitude, the kind of authentic human connection that this saga has occasionally allowed to break through the power dynamics and the strategic positioning. Jey has, by every reasonable measure, done everything the bloodline could ask of him to demonstrate genuine commitment to this family, and in the moment he tried to exercise even basic authority within that family, he was publicly, silently denied. That is the real reason Jey snapped, not the loss of a single confrontation with Rollins, not Thatcher's refusal in isolation, but the devastating realization that everything he has sacrificed has bought him loyalty and protection but not genuine standing. He is still, after everything, operating as Roman's brother rather than as a man with independent authority within the structure he helped hold together. Now let's address what Thatcher did immediately afterward, because it adds an important additional layer to this entire picture. Rather than simply walking away and leaving the tension unresolved, Thatcher confronted the Usos directly and told them they should be focusing their energy on LA Knight rather than chasing after Seth Rollins. That redirection is significant. It tells you that Thatcher's refusal was not about indifference to the Usos' priorities or genuine disrespect toward their concerns. It was about strict adherence to what he understands as Roman's actual doctrine, the specific instructions, the specific targets, the specific strategic priorities that Roman has communicated to him directly. Thatcher is not simply ignoring Jey. He is operating with calculated precision according to a chain of command that runs exclusively through Roman, and he is willing to redirect the Usos toward what he genuinely believes the family's priorities should be, even while refusing their direct orders. That makes Thatcher considerably more dangerous and considerably more interesting than a simple muscle-for-hire enforcer. He has his own read on strategic priorities. He is willing to share that read even while refusing to subordinate himself to anyone but Roman. He is operating, in every meaningful sense, as Roman's doctrine made flesh, loyal exclusively, strategically precise, and entirely unmoved by the family politics that govern everyone else's behavior. The long game here connects directly to Seth Rollins' King of the Ring ambitions, and this is where the entire backstage moment gains its highest stakes. Rollins is not pursuing the tournament for its own sake. He wants it specifically because winning positions him for a World Heavyweight Championship opportunity against Roman Reigns, the exact collision course this entire saga has been building towards since Paris. Which means the question hovering over everything we just witnessed is whether Roman will order Thatcher to eliminate Rollins before he becomes a legitimate, official contender, or whether Roman will wait, allow Rollins to climb the ladder legitimately, and risk the rise that Rollins' considerable talent and growing momentum represents. Both options carry real strategic risk. Eliminating Rollins early, through interference or sabotage, protects Roman's championship in the short term but invites accusations of cowardice, of needing to cheat to avoid a fair fight, exactly the narrative Rollins has been building since his Paris declaration that Roman cannot win on his own. Allowing Rollins to rise legitimately gives the eventual confrontation maximum stakes and credibility, but risks the very real possibility that Rollins, given a clean path, proves capable of doing exactly what he has been promising. Jey Uso snapped because the family he sacrificed everything for revealed, in front of his greatest rival, that his place within it remains conditional. Whether that hollowness is Roman's deliberate strategy or simply the convenient byproduct of never addressing it, the effect is identical. Roman Reigns remains the only indispensable figure in a family that increasingly cannot function without him specifically directing every significant action. Wrestling Stands will be tracking exactly where this fracture leads. Thanks so much for watching, it genuinely means everything to us here at Wrestling Stands. We'll see you in the next one.